How would you transition smoothly as possible from our current monetary system into a new one? Wow, Tim. I think we'd first have to define what the new monetary system looked like. Because you see what I'm saying? If we don't know what the new monetary system looks like, I don't know how we could figure out how to transition into it from our current system, which I have started to call the dollar network, because I'm really trying to encourage people to think of the global monetary system, or the dollar being the reserve currency, as a network. And there's the dollar network in my mind, and there's the Bitcoin network in my mind. And now there's also the digital yuan network that I think is going to be growing significantly in the decades to come as a result of the Belt and Road Initiative, which is the largest infrastructure project in the history of the planet Earth. And that's going to give a lot of strength to the digital yuan network, in my opinion. So you're going to have these competing networks. So we understand how the current dollar network functions. But are we transitioning into the Bitcoin network? Are we transitioning into, I think there's a high probability that we transitioned into a type of monetary network where the central bank played a bigger role in the creation of credit in the real economy, not just with corporations, but with consumers. So you're borrowing money directly from the Fed. You're getting your business loan directly from the Fed, your home loan, your car loan, or you see. And so I think we could have a monetary system where the commercial banks played a much smaller role, if any role at all. And so how would that transition work? I mean, now that I'm thinking it through, Tim, I think you're seeing the transition. How would it work? We're seeing how it would work, because the Fed is they're monetizing the debt. So that means that the government is creating more currency units in the real economy. We look at M2 money supply. So when the government spends money now, they're not taking money out of the system and then spending the same money. They're spending newly created money these new checks that they're spending out, they're just being backed up by bank reserves that the Fed is printing out of thin air, because they're selling those treasuries pretty much going through the primary dealers, of course, but they're selling those treasuries directly to the Fed. So when the Fed monetizes the debt directly, that most likely increases M2 money supply the way it's currently measured, right? So my point there is, in the past, without the Fed monetizing the debt, the creation of new money supply would have been dependent upon the commercial banking system. But now, to a certain degree, it's not. And we've seen that play out in 2020. If you look at the Fed's balance sheet, if you look at a chart of how many treasuries they're buying, and if you look at a chart of M2 money supply. Also, we go back to March and we look at how many assets, let's call them, or how much corporate debt the Fed purchased. All that's going on to the Fed's balance sheet. Look at a chart of mortgage-backed securities as far as the Fed's balance sheet. They're all going, not, I shouldn't say they're all, but a lot of the mortgages that are being created right now, they just go straight from the bank right over to the sausage mill at Fannie and Freddie, and then they wind up right on the Fed's balance sheet. So I think that's how it transitions. It just there's more and more and more equity, more debt, more everything going onto the Fed's balance sheet to where the significance of the commercial banks gets less and less and less. And pretty soon we look around and we say, holy cow, the Fed's the only game in town. And then when we look at the euro dollar system, the swap lines, the repo market, everything that we've been talking about on this channel for the last year, it's all centrally planned right from the old Fed. You say, well, aren't they creating swap lines right now? Well, yeah, but think about how that works. They have to create a swap line with another central bank, and then the banking system, the commercial banks under that central bank have to take those dollars, and then they have to create additional dollar loans using being backed up with those dollars they're getting from the Fed. But they're not going to lend out any money to XYZ corporation that needs it because of the cerveza sickness, because they know that it's not about a liquidity problem, it's about a solvency problem. And the commercial banking system that's needed, again, the transfer mechanism to transfer or to utilize those dollar swap lines, they have a P&L and they have a balance sheet that they have to worry about. Therefore, those loans, they have to be paid back, or else the banks going bust. Where if those dollar loans to XYZ corporation were coming directly from the Fed, there's no commercial banks in the way. And remember, the Fed's balance sheet is most likely infinite. They don't really care about being paid back. Then they can just transfer that newly created credit right to that XYZ corporation that needs it. You see, it's a direct line from the central bank to the entity. And now, is that where we end up? Is that the system that wins? I don't know. I don't know. But you can see us transitioning slowly into a system like that as we speak.